Hello, the Pioneer viewers. As you know, our agenda is Russia-Ukraine war, and the war continues in full violence on the front line. Behind the front line, incredible developments are taking place, and the war, which occupies an important place on the political agenda, causes the environment to become even more tense with the statements of European leaders. The majority of European countries have taken a front against Russia, and reacting against Russia's aggressive approach, European countries are taking precautions against a possible Russian threat by increasing their security expenditures. On the other hand, European countries continue to support Ukraine, which seems to determine the breaking point of the war. And in times of war, it is important to have strong allies in international politics and to intervene in the accordance with international law. When the war period ends, being right in the courts is of a great importance for the images of the states, and even if there are situations where the law cannot be applied, at the end of the day, international relations will develop to the extent that law allows. Well, it has been more than 2 years since Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, and while the parties continue their mutual aggression, they are also experiencing fatigue due to the protracted war process. Sustaining the war economy is of a difficult political move, and it is difficult to manage the population that has been negatively affected by the war during a long period of the war. Of course, therefore, politicians need to be able to sustain the war without losing the support of the people, and the support of the Ukrainian army and the Ukrainian people for the war continues uninterruptedly. And the authorities, who are ready to do everything they can to liberate their country from the occupation, continue their struggle. The Ukrainian army also continues its attacks against the Russian targets identified within the scope of the strategic operations. Russian targets were destroyed in the operation organized by the Ukrainian army in the past days, and it was stated that the Russian army suffered heavy losses after the operation. Tension between the France and Russia are also increasing, and the statements of the parties have hardened in recent days. Now, if you're ready, let's examine the latest developments together. As the Pioneer, we continue to report on Russia-Ukraine war. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so that you don't miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all of your comments on our videos. Please continue to share your ideas about our content in the comments with us. And let's start if you are ready, the Pioneer reports. The video shared by the Kyiv authorities recently attracted great attention. The video posted on social media by Kyiv sources reached thousands of people in a short time. The video showed dramatic movement on the Russian armed forces protected vehicles coming to the coordinated ground and air attacks. The footage of the operation launched by the Ukrainian army as part of its counteroffensive is being recorded by the Ukrainian drones. And the Ukrainian Defense Ministry said it had footage of the operation by the 47th Masonite Brigade in the Avdiivka direction in the Donetsk region. Russian forces are struggling to hold on to Avdiivka after capturing it in the last month after months of furious fighting. The other day, Kyiv proudly shared footages of its attacks on what it described as 3 Russian infantry fighting vehicles. Kyiv officials said operations in the region would continue and that they would continue to disturb Russian troops. Aerial footage from different angles shows smokes billowing into the air after and apparent firing on one vehicle after the other 2 vehicles drive away. The operation begins after the explosion. Another angle shows a U.S.-supplied Bradley infantry fighting vehicle approaching a Russian vehicle on a steep road before going head-on and firing, and the resulting images of the fire and the smoke from the strikes shows the destruction of the Russian targets. Ukrainian's 37th Masonite Brigade is carrying out important operations on behalf of the Ukrainian army, and they carry out very critical operations, especially in the frontline areas. In the past period, the Ukrainian authorities reported that the 47th Masonite Brigade was equipped with the German-supplied Leopard 2nd main battle tanks, and last month a video showing a US-supplied M1A1 Abrams tank in combat was released for the first time. In the ongoing conflicts in the region, drones and mechanized troops play a major role, and 2 critical elements stand out in order to keep their gains in the region or to make new gains. In this regard, the Ukrainian army has very strong capabilities, especially in the use of unmanned aerial vehicles. While the developments on the front line continue to unfold, on the other hand, international politics is focused on the Ukrainian war. The mutual confrontations that started in the past days seems to have reached a serious stage. Among European leaders, especially French President Emmanuel Macron's statements attracted great attention. The tension between Moscow and Paris escalated to the other day when French President Emmanuel Macron referred to Russia as an enemy of his country. Speaking to the media, Macron referred to his recent remarks on the possibility of sending Western troops to Ukraine to resist a Russian invasion. Late last month, the French leader suggested that every possibility should be considered when it comes to strengthening the Kiev's defenses. In a later interview, Macron said that he sees Russia as an enemy, but an enemy of France, adding he said that he was not declaring war on Russia and the Russian people, adding that he supported Ukraine. Responding to the comments, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters that it is clear that Russia is an enemy of France because France is already involved in directly participating in the war in Ukraine. And however, judging by the French president's statements, he would not mind increasing the level of the participation in the war, he added. In his interview, Macron added that the Crimean Peninsula must be returned to Ukrainian control in order for there to be a lasting peace in the region between Kiev and Moscow. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had made a similar statement saying that the war cannot end until Russia relinquishes control of the occupied territories. "You are doing everything to contain Russia because I will tell you very simply, if there is no sovereignty, there is no lasting peace. We need Ukraine to have its internationally recognized borders, including Crimea," Macron said. As the leader's statements escalate tensions, and we will see if new forces will be involved in the war in the coming days or not. So, what do you think about the Ukrainian army's offensive operations? Or how do you think that the Ukrainian army benefits by sharing footage of the operation? How do you interpret French President Macron's statements? And do you think new powers will be involved in the war in the coming period? We care about your opinion. Please share it with us.
Yes. Слава Україні!